to the cloud. All right. What's up, y'all? This is the Crazy, Scary, Cool podcast. The NFL season is on the horizon. And this is going to be the first installment of just talking about the upcoming season. We're going to go division by division. We're going to start off today with the NFC South and the AFC South. My name is Chris. I have my good friend Josh with me. How you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited, ready for the NFL season. Uh, I got my Eagles shirt here, so more than ready. But before we get started, I want to do something very quickly. Today is, as everyone knows, Kobe Bryant's birthday. So, in honor of Kobe's birthday, I had a guy in it for the first installment. I love, what? You know, we want to pop some champagne. I try to open up just the top part without opening this pop at the same time. So that being said, I want to pour one, for the GOAT himself. Yeah, I wish I wasn't doing this right now. I still
Yeah.
can't believe it, even all these years later. It's been five, but it doesn't feel like it.
Shit, 5.5, going on 6 in January.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
so I guess it's a little bit about us since they don't know. Well, I'm still a Lakers fan. You have jumped off the bandwagon. I just want people to
Well,
know that
you
that
know,
you jumped
saying
off.
jump with the bandwagon is a little harsh, but I left when Kobe left. Yes, I did.
I mean, what else would you call it? Like if you leave because you left us at probably our worst moment in history. That's why it's bad.
Well,
We that's
they
why that's as bad as we've ever seen the Lakers play.
Well, that was their own doing. See, that's part of the reason why I left because they did Kobe wrong, and I thought that they got what was due to them by what they did to Kobe in his last couple of years. So after he retired, I realized that it wasn't necessarily the Lakers and the brand. It was more about um, Kobe and everything he did. So
Well, hold on. And this is not an NBA podcast, but what did the Lakers do wrong to Kobe in those last couple of years?
well, after they gave him the contract, they were supposed to put a team around him that
Hmm.
can compete for a championship.
Hmm.
Um, they got Dwight Howard, who at the time, we're talking, 10 years ago, when people really thought Dwight Howard was a good player. I knew that was not going to work, but they got him anyway. Then they signed Steve Nash to a contract when he admitted that he needed the money. He wasn't even trying to win a championship. They got two guys that was not trying to win a championship, that couldn't win a championship. And then the supporting cast was not ready for it. So I felt like they did him dirty. And then the last couple of years, it was just bad. There was bad teams with Kobe, percentage going down. Now it makes him look worse. And historically, people try to talk about he's not a good shooter because his numbers are down. Well, yeah, look at the last couple of years. He was shooting all the shots. He had no one there. I
Well,
mean, if he had a team,
okay. So a couple things at the time. Okay, I don't want
I
to
would.
get too
I
much in the
would.
NBA, but at the time with Dwight and Steve Nash, like no, everyone thought that was a good team at the time. Like it didn't work out. There was no one who was saying that was not a super team at the time. Now it didn't pan out, but at the time we all thought that was going to work out. And I was more so referring to like those last couple of years, like 2014, 15, 16. Because Kobe, he got that final contract. I think it was the last 2 years. He had that big, like big at the time contract.
And he deserved it.
Well, it's fair. Yeah, he deserved it. But I mean, like he's an older player, a declining player, gave him a bunch of money. Like there wasn't no, he was declining.
Decline is strong, man. He
Oh,
kept getting hurt.
okay,
He
but
kept
dog,
getting hurt. Declining is
2015,
strong.
it was dog. He was not. So you telling me Kobe in 2016 was the same player he was in 2010?
That was his last year.
That's what I'm
That was
saying.
his
Like
farewell tour.
so you telling me 2014, 15, and 16 Kobe was the same player he was 2010, 2011, 2012?
Well, come on. 2010, they won a championship. 2011,
Okay,
they
let's say
were.
2013. Let's say
He
2013.
got hurt, he got hurt is what happened. Is the
Yeah,
reason why I think if he wasn't hurt, yes, he would have still been to play. But he was hurt.
yeah, he was hurt at a time when like an Achilles injury, it's hard to come back from that now. Like KD
Yeah,
was an anomaly. This is back when it was like a death sentence, and they gave him
yeah.
that big contract, and he's older. Like I mean, and the team was already kind of declining after Dwight and Steve Nash. Like I don't know, dog. Like I mean, I feel like the Lakers did what they were supposed to.
I thought they could have done more. That's all I'm saying. I think that giving him the farewell tour was the best thing that he could have done was to say, hey, this is my last year. Otherwise, if he was doing, let's say, like the LeBron thing, where he's just, kind of keeping it, he may retire, he may not, and then he goes out like that. I mean, it'd have been like, oh my God, thank God he had the wherewithal to say, this is my last year,
Hmm.
and he had to, end it on a great note. So I look, we can agree to disagree. I don't think that the Lakers did a great job. I think if you say they did enough or they did all they could, fine, fair enough. I can't really argue at this point because it's been so long. But because of those reasons, the reasons why I jumped off the quote unquote bandwagon, and they've proven me right so far. And we'll see what they do with the new ownership. But
We have a
so
championship.
far,
We won a championship.
look, this is about football. We're not going to do this. We're not going
We,
to do this. We're not going to do this. We
okay,
we we
not
know
about,
about that
okay, this
championship.
is not about basketball, but that championship counts. We are not doing we're not
We're
doing that.
not, we're not going to do it because it's yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we gonna further that conversation another day. But
But real quick though, I do want to take the actual sip though for Kobe in his
sure,
honor.
yeah,
So happy birthday to Kobe.
yeah. Happy birthday, Kobe. I wish his birthday was actually the 24th. If it was 8/24, that would have been honestly that would have been kind of magical.
Well, it's a weekend thing, especially because it's on a weekend. So you still get to celebrate his birthday tomorrow too, because it's 8/24. So you get a 2 day thing with Kobe.
Yeah.
That's the best part of it.
Well, listen, we here to talk about the football. So let's start with the AFC South. So the AFC South for a couple of years has, I mean, if it hasn't been the worst division in football, it's definitely been pretty consistently at the bottom. Um, so yeah, so I guess the first question that I have for you, um, what can this division do to get better collectively? Like, what can they do to stop being such a cellar dweller?
Well, this is going to sound kind of crazy. I mean, barring some miracle, and for me, when I say miracle, I mean like barring you know, Arch Manning or some quarterback, next 2, 3 years that we've never heard about, comes to one of the teams in the AFC South. We got Cam Ward, but I'm just saying maybe Cam Ward is the reason. But for me, the answer is this: there has to be a Joe Burrow, a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes in the AFC South. And it's just not. When you have a team, at least one quarterback in a division that is, potentially all time great, it causes the other teams in division to really force themselves to get better. And it makes them that look a little bit harder in trying to find the quarterback or the team that they need to beat in the division. Right now, the AFC South is just always wide open. Both divisions we're talking about kind of got the same problem. No franchise, no real threat as a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So it's
Mhm.
just all open. I think that, for the most part, all four teams in the AFC South, they got pretty decent teams. Um, but the question is always going to be with all of them, can the quarterback get it done when the playoffs come around and they got to face Lamar, Josh Allen, obviously Patrick Mahomes. So I think that's the biggest thing, and I think it still kind of remains to be seen because they have a bunch of young quarterbacks. But when you're playing in the era with Mahomes and Allen and Burrow and Jackson,
Mhm.
I mean, you're kind of in a lose-lose if you're in the AFC South right now. You kind of just got to hope that this, passes by in the next,
I'm passing
generation, next couple 10 years or so, the next generation. Honestly, I mean, it's just the truth. They got to wait for look, Jaguars, they went for Trevor Lawrence. He had this historic college career, high school career. He hasn't panned out so far. Anthony Richardson with a project, and he seems like he's not going to get a chance to start in Indianapolis. Uh, and then CJ Stroud had a great rookie year. Then we found out that, oh, you can actually have a better rookie year than that. That can actually make you look like you can win a Super Bowl. And then he had a down year.
Yeah,
So
and
there's
actually, I want to ask you about him. Like, so you don't see CJ Stroud as one of those franchise quarterbacks? Because he looked at after that first, there were times in the second half in that rookie year where he was looking like a generational talent. Like that offense was kind of ridiculous. Just for a rookie, for a, roo-
for rookies, for
for a
rookie, for
rookie
rookie.
to come in and just to be able to push the ball down the field like that as a rookie, because like guys make that sophomore jump. So I mean, as a rookie, I don't know, he had one of the best rookie seasons in my
Yeah,
opinion.
for sure.
So I guess like, do you consider him like a franchise quarterback?
No, because No, because he's won a playoff game
Mhm.
twice, I think. I
Yeah, he
think
got
both years he won, and then in the next round he looked like, he looked like what he should have looked like, which is like a tier below the other team's quarterback.
mhm.
So when you do that 2 years in a row, I mean, when your second year you're supposed to really kind of ascend. And the Texans last year I thought had a really good team.
They had a good defense.
Definitely had a good defense. I know they had some injuries on offense, but
Yeah,
um I say to me the jury's still kind of out. Like
I agree.
I think the jury's still kind of out because again, when you got to still when if you get to the playoffs and you win the wild card, you still got to face Joe Burrow, you still got to
Mhm,
face Mahomes, you still got to face
mhm.
Lamar Jackson, and right now, whether it's psychological, still those teams still just have a problem facing facing the Texans have a problem facing those teams once they get past the wild card when they're, facing some easy team, generally speaking, because let's just be honest, the AFC South is the worst division in the AFC. So
Oh,
likely,
very. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I was thinking like outside. I was thinking the AFC East, but they still have Buffalo. But like,
but Buffalo, Buffalo's always they're gonna have a lot of wins. So the AFC South basically always faces the highest seed in the playoffs to the AFC, which if they catch a break like they did last year, they can face the Chargers. Where if you remember that game, they were down. It was a crazy third and 16 play that basically changed the entire game. They
Justin
were
Herbert,
down early.
he kind of threw that game away a little bit. He played 4 interceptions, if at least three. He had a pick six. He played pretty poorly, but with the Texans, CJ Stroud, like he did have a down year. Like he just seemed like he lost his powers a little bit. I don't know, like if he just if there was just maybe film on him, but he really struggled, like just like navigating the pocket. I know the offensive line was kind of bad, but I mean, I think it was one game. I think it was the Christmas game where they was like, "Yo," he was kind of playing drunk, and even the commentators were like, "Yo, I don't really know what he's doing back there." Like he just looked very unprepared. So I don't know, like what exactly that is. And I do agree with you that the jury is still out, and that to compete in the AFC, you really are going to need that top tier quarterback. And I think CJ Stroud, possibly, it's too soon to write him off, but he is going to have to ascend to that next level.
Well, look, the best thing about the Texans this year is we'll find out early how good they are early. I think that they could have some struggles early in the season. Their first 5 games is pretty tough, and then they have a bye week.
Mm-hmm.
So they got at Rams, then a Monday nighter against the Bucks, a divisional game at Jacksonville, then another divisional game against the Titans, and then at Ravens before the bye week.
Ooh,
So
ooh.
look, I like the Texans this year. I just don't. I think that's the only way that they can really any of those teams can. I think the Texans. I think 3 out of 4 right now. The jury's still out. Got to see Trevor Lawrence, but I think that's really it. Like, all those teams have pieces on defense. They have, skill players. All 4 teams have it. Like all 4 teams have it. Except,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be.
Yeah, but I guess going back to the Texans, like you look at the offensive line was really bad last year. Then Tank Dell is out, probably for the season. Stephon Diggs left for New England. Joe Mixon is suddenly a question mark. So that team offensively, they have a lot of question marks. A lot. I think they have Christian Kirk. They signed him. They have a rookie, so it's going to be a lot of question marks. So there's no lock that they're going to be. Let me say that the Texans will be a good team, but they could kind of win to the division by default just because some of the other teams. So you mentioned Trevor Lawrence. So like, I mean, you want to talk about disappointments? Well, what do you make of Trevor Lawrence so far this in his career?
Um, I think that Trevor Lawrence is a case of when too much hype is put upon you too soon. And we're seeing that right now with Caleb Williams,
Ooh,
where they have such a historic and remarkable high school and college career where they're so sought after, and then they look great in all the metrics and the measurables and all those things, and they're number one picks, and they come out and they don't play that well, and they make a bunch of excuses for them. Whether the excuses are valid or not does not matter to me. Look at the first year they had Urban Meyer. All right, we get it. All right, he likes to party. All right, he likes to hook up with young chicks. All right, he still can coach football. All right. I understand that disasters happen in an NFL when things go sour. It can really like mess up a team's dynamic and the chemistry. But to use that as an excuse of why he was playing bad, I mean, come, you think Trevor Lawrence is really thinking about what the hell his coach is doing at night?
People blaming him.
He did
People were blaming Urban Meyer.
well. They blame Urban Meyer. They said that
Oh,
people throw away his rookie year because they said, well, because Urban Meyer got fired mid-season because of all the scandals and stuff. They said, throw away his rookie season. So they throw away his rookie season, and then they got Doug Peterson. Everyone assumed it was going to work. Me personally, knowing Doug Peterson, I didn't think it was going to work because I don't think Trevor Lawrence is that good, and also I don't think Doug Peterson is that great of a coach. Um, I just didn't think it was a good fit, and it didn't work out. The first year, obviously, it did. He was uh
they made the
seventh in
playoffs.
MVP. Yeah, they were set there. They made the playoffs. They came back from being down 27-0, and he was seventh in MVP voting. And he was good the last half of the season, though. Like they were struggling that first half of that season, and then obviously last year they weren't good. And they, now they're saying he was injured, so now he's saying he's healthy. They got Travis Hunter now. They got Brian Thomas last year as a rookie. People are really high on him. He's fast. He's good. A good receiver.
Mhm.
So I look at the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. I got a
I
lot of
mean,
questions.
on paper they look good. Weak
They look
division.
okay. They look okay to me.
Well, yeah, let me say okay. On paper, let me
Okay.
on paper they have potential because BTJ, Travis Hunter, especially if Travis Hunter, let's just say he becomes a full-time receiver, that's possibly a great duo. That backfield, you got Tank Bixby actually was looking better towards the end of the year than ETN, but that's like a really good 1-2 punch. And then they have a rookie. My issue is the defense is pretty bad, even even with Travis Hunter. I don't know how much he's gonna play. But the thing is, man, like with Trevor Lawrence, it's just like he just has not met expectations. And like I was having this conversation with someone, and even in college, like he did. So in high school, he was considered like he was being compared to John Elway and Peyton Manning coming out of high school. And then in college, he got those same expectations. He was a great player in college, but not to that level. Like he's considered one of the greatest high school and college prospects ever. So like with the hype, he just hasn't met it. And he's very expensive too. So it's like it really just comes down to if he can just really meet expectations, just being a good quarterback. Like I don't even know if Trevor Lawrence is good.
I think that he is serviceable. Like I think that like a lot of these young quarterbacks that were really good in college that hasn't played that well yet, he's still a quarterback that could, in theory, win you some can take you deep in the playoffs. They could potentially even, get to a Super Bowl. The question is that sometimes when it comes to these guys is, I mean, just the truth of the matter is they go into situations that aren't that great.
Mhm,
It's rare that a quarterback can get into a really good situation
mhm,
early in his career. It's really that's what the pressure is as a number one quarterback is to change that based off your play. Like you elevate the team just by being great, and when everything around you isn't great, it can stunt your growth. It's stunting his growth right now. I think it's still going to stunt his growth because, like you said, there's a lot of holes in the team. Even with the offense, I kind of came to this realization. I don't think Travis Hunter is going to be a real factor this year. I don't see offensive player, defensive player of the year. Yeah, of course he's going to get an interception at some point. Of course he's going to score a receiving touchdown at some point, or he's going to have multiple. But I kind of seen it, and I know they weren't doing much in preseason, but seeing him now on the field in football just makes me realize that you got to realize that the NFL is not college. Like it's not just about the schematics and the players and the team. It's also politics. It's also uh personnel.
yeah.
I can already see a scenario where he's not a factor on either side of the ball. You know,
it just comes
There,
down to how much they decide what they want to do with them, how much they can handle. Like if they are gonna, so the worst thing that they can do is just like they spread him too thin, that he's just a nickel or a dime, and then they just treat him as like almost like a wide receiver three. Like he has to be able to handle that load. So if you're gonna spread him too thin, then he's not gonna make the impact. But also you want him to play enough. Like you kind of want him to be like a starting caliber player on both sides of the ball, or just have him play one side of the ball and make an impact. But he is. It just comes down to like how much they're willing to use him on either side. If they're only going to use him like 35% of the time on each side, then it's a waste of time. Even if you just have to say that, hey, you know what, maybe he might not be a two-way guy, but he can be a really good wide receiver, or he can be like a really good cornerback. But you have to like give him that opportunity to make an impact. Like you can't just like use him in packages on both sides of the ball, like a gadget player. Like don't treat him like Taysom Hill, where he's just coming in every now and then, in certain packages. You have to like, let him play. And if he can't, handle it, if the physicality is too much or if the injury risk is too high, then let him just be on one side of the ball. But what you described is the worst case scenario.
I don't know about that. I don't know if he can, not if he can do it. I know he can, but I don't know if keeping him on one side of the ball is beneficial at all. Just because you know that he can do both sides. The question is like you said a little bit, but I do think that you have to not have packages, but you have to micromanage them on both sides of the ball. Like, you got to keep him in on first downs because you need that threat. Even if you're not going to use him on offense, he's
Yeah.
more of a threat on offense than he's going to be a threat on defense because defenses can just, first of all, can just use him to make them tired for offense by just running. You can easily just have a guy out there, obviously he's not going to be just one on one, but just making him work all day, just making him work, whether it's through the run game or through play action, through like little screens, whatever, just making him work on defense. But on offense, you can manipulate the defenses a little bit when you have them in certain situations, like first downs. Whether you get a first down or first down after that, you keep them in first down, keep them in third downs, like or second downs here and there. But like you got to be able to manage it because you also got to keep in fact that. Look, I heard you say about him as a wide receiver three, but he can't be the wide receiver three. He got to be number two
Oh
because
no, no, he has to be the two. No, 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 no. He needs to be the two. What I'm thinking is that like if they almost just don't use him enough, that they just use him like if he's just a package wide receiver, you're essentially just the number three target. Essentially, like if I'm the number two receiver, then I'm the starter. And even in today, like the wide receiver three, with like that's essentially a starter too. But like you don't take a wide receiver second overall and treat him as a wide receiver three unless he just hasn't is not better than the guy ahead of him. But he should be the wide receiver too. I guess what I'm thinking is if he only let's say he only plays 30 snaps a game on offense, that's kind of wide receiver three, wide receiver four playing time. Because think, and then if you factor in like he's not only gonna get like how many passing plays is that? Is that like if you're only passing 2/3 of the time, now that's 20 passing plays. How many of that is actually gonna go to him? When you actually do the math on like how many targets he could actually be getting, now we're not talking about that many. So that's what I'm thinking about that. And then defensively, if you're only going to use him in passing situations, do you take a cornerback second overall that's just only in nickel or dime situations? So it's like you have to honestly, you just have to give him that full load and let him play. And Dion, he did say that like he has great conditioning. So like trying to wear him out. Now again, like the NFL is obviously more physical, but actually college are longer games. And because there's way more starting college games can be like 4 hours. So like obviously the physicality is going to be different, but I think that conditioning won't be an issue. If you're trying to tire him out, like that might backfire. So I think they just have to let him play, man. Let him play both sides of the ball and just see what happens. See what happens.
well, look, he has somewhat of a break because look, I think for him to have the biggest impact is going to have to be in an early part of the season, like the first half of the season, because most rookies hit a rookie wall, just how long the season is and the grind that goes with it, and for them, they get a bye week in week 8. Uh, but they're fortunate that they don't actually face a lot of physical defenses in the first 7 games of the season. Week 1, they got the Panthers. No offense. But
That's a
they got the Bengals, Texans. The Texans might be is a physical defense, but
they are.
that's also a divisional matchup, so we don't know how that's going to play itself out. The Niners, we don't know how they're going to be. The Chiefs obviously is a good defense. Seahawks, we don't know how physical they are. The Rams are a physical front seven, but not a physical secondary.
Yeah, I agree.
So um, uh, they're not going to face a lot of that, so that might actually work in their favor. And then even if you look at the back half of the season, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Cardinals, not
Mhm.
included in the divisional teams. The Jets and Broncos are a physical team, and that's in December. So that's really where it's going to come down to. So that's where they really honestly have a good chance of winning this division because it helps it put the conditioning of a guy like him where he has to be a big part of both
He
sides of
does.
the ball in order for them to be successful this year. Like you can't just kind of have him like even like I said, even if you use him as a decoy, you still need him to be involved. Like Brian Thomas can't be the one option and they're just
Yeah.
always going to him. Like you need to have a threat, whether you're just giving
So,
him bubble screens or jet sweeps or whatever, like or just running it deep, whatever. You got to find ways to get the ball.
I mean, I think that you need to treat him like a wide receiver. Like he was a very good wide receiver at Colorado. Like he won the Heisman for what he did on both sides of the ball. And like even if you compare him to Deion Sanders or Charles Woodson, he was much more of an offensive threat than those guys were. Those guys they played, but they didn't start or weren't like significant contributors. Like he truly is a very good wide receiver. And honestly, even if they said, "Hey, we just want to like," if you put him as a wide receiver one on some teams, I mean, I'm not saying he'll come out and be like a superstar, but he could still be a very good wide receiver, maybe a great one, you know. But I agree with you that you have to let him play both sides of the ball. But something that you said before that I want to go back to, talking about Trevor Lawrence and like going into a bad situation, you don't think he has enough now?
No, I
Now,
don't. I don't.
what else does
I
he
don't think he has
need? What
enough.
else? Oh my
I don't
God.
think he has
What else?
enough.
Oh my God. You this is like the Justin Herbert thing, to where it's always needs one more.
Kool-Aid. Um,
Like, what else does
no,
he
he doesn't have enough. For one, he does not have an offensive line. Offensive line, for some reason, they still haven't addressed that to the point where, I can comfortably say that, he has a team. As a matter of fact, hold on really quickly. Let me just, other than actually, before I even get to that, he doesn't have an offensive line. I can't trust the running game, even with Bigsby being a little bit better than ETN. That's
Mhm.
still not a running game that you can really rely on. De'Ami Brown is hurt. So even with Travis Hunter, you're relying on Parker Washington. I mean, second year player, can't trust him. Brenton Strange, the tight end. He's a second year player too out of Penn State. He's I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I'm just saying he's just not that good right now. They don't have a left tackle, they don't have a left guard, they don't have a center, they don't have a right guard, they don't have a right tackle. They literally don't have a single offensive lineman that you can say, okay, he can hold it down for you. They got
Uh,
Trayvon Walker. They're
yeah,
already thinking about trading him. He was the number one pick. That was Doug Peterson's pick, by the way. They think
mhm,
about trading him already. They put
yeah.
him in trade bait.
Well, he had a
Josh Allen.
good. Josh Allen had. That's who had a good season. He had a good season.
Yeah, but that's one player. They don't
Yeah,
have a defensive tackle. They don't have any linebackers. They got Devin Lloyd, who's up and down.
that defense is terrible. I watched being in Florida. I've seen a decent amount of their games. That defense is awful. Like I would say, probably only the Panthers and maybe the Saints towards the end of the season was worse. But like you can kind of do whatever you want against that defense. And the offensive line. So listen, you're right. It is a flawed team. I think Tank Bigsby does have talent though. I think that
probably
he's.
not.
I mean, but this is the thing though. How much do you need to win the AFC South? Like I'm not saying that. How much do you need?
Well, the teams minus the quarterback, the skill players in the AFC South aren't that bad. If you look
Uh,
at the other teams, the
they're just not
Colts,
deep. They're not deep. Oh, you talking about the
yeah,
Jaguars? The whole division.
no, I'm talking about the whole division because the
Okay.
Jaguars are kind of like an outside looking at. You look at the Texans. The
Mhm.
Texans have receivers. They have two. They got Joe. I mean, we don't know what Nick Chubb is going to be, but you got Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb. You have some tight ends. You have an offensive line, a decent offensive line. You have Daniil Hunter. You have um CJ Gardner Johnson. You got Stingley Jr. They have pieces. The Colts have a decent receiving core. They have Jonathan
No,
Taylor. They have a good offensive line. They have a
no.
good front seven.
The Colts receiving core is bad. Now, I do think some of that has been held back by the quarterback, but Josh Downs.
Josh Downs is not bad. Alec Pierce is Josh Downs was good. He was a rookie last year, wasn't he? Yeah. He had a
I
good
think
year. He had a good year for a rookie. He's in his second year.
that receiving core just don't scare me. Like, but also I'm
Um,
not high on Michael Pittman
I
Jr.
agree. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying
I
that
agree.
they don't like you can put those guys on other rosters and they'll make the team get on the field, but you're not looking at the coach and be like, how are we going to cover them? You're not looking at the Titans and like how are we going to cover them? Even the Texans outside of Nico Collins, like there's a lot of question marks, especially without Tank Dell, no Robert Woods, no Noah Brown. Like I like that receiving core 2 years ago. But now they got the rookie Jaden Higgins. I mean, I think it's a second rounder. I mean, he could be good, but it's like we don't know. And the Titan, what's the Titan?
They have a receiving core. They got Tony Pollard. Ty J. Spears was decent. They still got the tight end who's been getting better and better each year. His third year. They still got what's his name? Jeffrey Simmons. He's a game wrecker sometimes. They still got L'Jarius Sneed. So they have certain playmakers on their teams, like on the AFC South, that the Jaguars just don't. Like the Jaguars don't have that. That's where Travis Hunter comes in. Other than Travis Hunter, the only other playmaker they really have is Brian Thomas and then Josh Allen.
Well,
But
true. That's true. That's fair. That's
you
fair. I
know,
think Brenton Strange can be good, but it remains to be seen.
yeah. And look, I got to see more. So I'm not giving him any a pass this year because this is where at this point when you do have a guy like Travis Hunter, you got to elevate the team. But I just don't really see it this year. I kind of see. I guess we'll get into our rankings and divisions later, but I think that he does. I think he probably is probably a year away. Like I think after this year, they can
Mm.
probably stack up a little bit better and fill out the roster a little bit more.
Well, then, okay, we're kind of transitioning then. So then, with Anthony Richardson losing the job to Daniel Jones, uh, how much of a red flag is that he couldn't beat out Daniel Jones?
Well, I think it's a red flag, but I also don't think it's that big of a red flag. I think, I mean, not even I think. I mean, when they came out, when he came out of the draft, it was, if I'm correct, it was him, CJ Stroud, and Caleb.
I think so. That sounds right.
Um,
No, 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 no,
eh,
no, no.
Not Caleb.
Not
It
Caleb.
was CJ Stroud. Oh, Bryce Young. Bryce Young.
Yeah,
Bryce
yeah,
Young.
you're right. You're right. You're right.
Bryce Young. And Anthony Richardson was the only one out of the three that didn't play that much in college. He didn't have a lot of game tape in college, so he was looked at as a project, kind of like Trey Lance, where extremely accurate. I mean, extremely athletic. Can throw the ball, 100 miles, and has a pretty damn high upside. But we don't know how high that could be because the floor is also could be sort of a bust. Um, and what we've seen in the NFL at this point is that it's not scripted. The coaches need to trust the people that they're putting on the field because turnovers and and punts and losses loses people's jobs. They need, even if they're not good enough, they need to know that you are competent enough that if we call something, you're gonna at least make me look good because you're gonna at least run it the right way. We saw in the first preseason game, all this talk. All right, we all know how bad Daniel Jones is. All right, they come in the first preseason game. This nigga waits for the first series to not even to get blindsided. When's the last time you seen a nigga get blindsided in
In
today's
pre
NFL?
in preseason, no less. Where like it's video
Exactly.
we talked about the other day. Like they're not even really like disguising blitzes like that. But that's my thing there. Okay, so with AR, so like I watched him a little bit at Florida. He was shaky at Florida. Like he was inaccurate at Florida. Some of the things you're seeing now, he was doing in the NFL, and people wrote that off because like, okay, it's the SEC, but like someone mentioned something one day, and it sounds super basic, but they were like, let's say if you and me are basketball players, and let's say if we want to play in college. If we want to play in college, you kind of got to be dominating in high school, or at least playing at a very high level. So if you're not a very high level high school player, your chances of making college are kind of shaky. If you're not one of the best players in college, it's going to be kind of difficult for you to make it in the pros. If you look at Anthony Richardson in college, he was not really a great quarterback. Like he has crazy athleticism. Like he's a combine warrior. Like he has potential, but sometimes you just got to be able to make the throws. And kind of like what you were saying, you need a guy that you can just trust to go out there and just like do the things. And sometimes he can't do that. Like there'll be guys that are flat and like he's open, he throwing it into the stands, you know. And I'm not trying to dump on the guy, but it's like he just doesn't process very well. He is insanely inaccurate. Like, remember how Donovan McNabb used to just throw the ball in the dirt and be throwing it?
I do.
Anthony Richardson is
Yeah.
like that, but with none of like the consistency, like, or none of like, he just can't show you that even he can't even be a high level passer. So it just makes me wonder, can he be a competent quarterback?
I mean, you never know. I mean, down the road, if he gets, opportunities, if he like locks in and really tries to improve, he can. But he's just gonna have to get that opportunity again. The opportunity is gonna have to just come, a little bit by luck, a little bit by the way he practices. But um, I think the signs was always there from the beginning since Daniel Jones got there that he was gonna end up being the guy. So he had to impress everyone and just be better. And doesn't seem like he's done that. So
But my thing is, I guess I look at it differently. So if I take Anthony Richardson was taken fourth overall 2 years ago, this would be his third year. So you have a third year quarterback that you took top five that was a risky pick. Like you, in my mind, and maybe I'm just looking at it differently, like they're all in on you. Like whoever GMs, coaches drafted you, they kind of live and die with you. So you need him to succeed. So like I feel like he would have gotten every single opportunity to win the job. I thought Daniel Jones was there because one, Anthony Richardson is injury prone and he's shaky. So you need to have like a competent backup and someone to kind of light a fire under him. But you want Anthony Richardson to win the job. If Daniel Jones is your starting quarterback, what does the Colts' future look like? You know what I'm saying? Where are they going? Like if I'm a Colts fan, where are we going with Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback outside of just needing one and he was the best guy? But like you need Anthony Richardson to win the job. So if he doesn't win the job, and I feel like they want him to win, how bad is he? Is he really?
pretty bad. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, even when he's played, I mean, he has flashes, but I mean, we've had one season wonders, right? Guys who have been really good for a season. He's good every couple plays. Not every couple plays, but like he's good. In a game, he'll have a couple flashes, but he really just hasn't. He hasn't really been good. And also too with Daniel Jones, you got to think about these last couple of years what we've seen. But we've seen it now with two quarterbacks,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe one day could be Daniel Jones this year. Like I said, we'll get to our picks, I guess, at some point. But
Mm-hmm.
we've seen with Sam Darnold, and we've seen with Geno Smith, where guys who've been around at some point, maybe every now and then they just get it, things click, and then they end up having a successful season. Now
True.
we've seen him preseason not play that well. He looked like the same Daniel Jones, and by all accounts, he's looked like the same Daniel Jones even in practices. But when you look at you know his upside is really the same upside as Sam Darnold's. You know, I know you don't like the receivers, but they got a pretty decent receiving core and a good offensive line with a running game,
Yeah.
and Daniel Jones can run the ball too. So if he can get it together, I'm sure the Colts feel very much more comfortable knowing that hey, we can strike lightning in the bottle for one season, maybe for the future, with this guy who could have a resurgence for a career, who just like Anthony was looked at, he was a high pick also. So, and he got his money. He actually got his contract money for having a lightning in the bottle season. Maybe he could do it for us in an AFC South. That means a home playoff game. You know, so I think they're taking their chances on that, and I think it could work. You never
I
know.
mean, that's a good point because you're right. Because I mean, if you look at well, with Sam Darnold, he did revitalize his career, but also at Minnesota, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's quarterback proof, but I mean that's about as good of a situation as you could ever have. Like I don't think Sam Darnold is going to do that in Seattle. But I think that Geno Smith, him going to Seattle, I think he definitely showed that. I think that was more so the Jets than him. And not that he's a perfect quarterback, but Geno Smith is actually a pretty solid quarterback. Like he's never, I don't think he's taken the team to the playoffs, but he has, I mean, he's has like 4,000 yards, I think, every year as a starter for Seattle. So he can be like a solid quarterback, So, maybe with Daniel Jones, and I mean, the defense isn't bad,
Yeah,
the,
they got a fast defense.
yeah, they
They got a great front seven actually.
yeah, with
They're really good front seven.
Jonathan Taylor can kind of control, the time of possession. And you're right, like the receivers don't scare me, but they're not bad. Like they're
No,
not bad.
no, not at all. And they complement each other really well. I mean, Michael Pittman, he's a poor man's Mike Evans, but when you add him with Downs and Alec Pierce, not to mention that Adonai Mitchell last year, was a rookie. He's not that bad either. And even Ashton Doolin, they got five receivers that are all pretty decent that somehow are they all have one thing in common other than Michael Pittman Jr. They all are kind of quick with the ball in their hands.
Yeah,
And then Tyler Warren obviously arguably might have been the best tight end coming out the draft this year. He's their tight end now, and they've had a really good depth at tight ends the last couple of years. Um, and the offensive line is it's been solid. Even yeah, I would say Quentin Nelson is still there. And the tackles have both been good. And like you said, the front seven. So again, we're we make our pick yet, but I do feel I'm a little bullish on the Colts more than
oh,
most people are. A little
really?
bit more most people.
Really? Okay. Well,
And
we'll get to our pick soon. That's the Colts.
yeah,
I guess with me, the Colts are one of those teams that are just kind of like forgettable. Like they're not like so bad that like they stand out like the Browns or the Jets at times, but they just kind of fly under the radar. Like really ever since Andrew Luck retired, even though Philip Rivers got to them to the playoffs one year. Okay. Okay. Well, listen, I mean, the Titans, I mean, I don't know if there's too much to say about them, but I guess like with Cam Ward, how are you feeling about him as a rookie?
I think there's gonna be some growing pains.
I agree.
Um, when you're coming into a situation like that, you're following the footsteps of the great Steve McNair,
This
and
nigga,
you kind of built,
this nigga said Steve McNair. Nigga, that was 20 years ago. What you mean?
look,
Like he was just
look,
here 2 years ago.
who's the last great quarterback to come out of Tennessee?
Out of Tennessee?
Yes, it's Steve McNair. And there's a lot there's some big shoes to fill for him, and he has the build, the size, um, and he has the confidence for sure. Uh, but he's a rookie, and unlike a lot of these first pick rookies, I don't think that he's in a situation that's necessarily going to benefit him.
I agree.
They have a lot of good players, but it is hard for me to see. I'm not even sure who the head coach is.
Uh,
Um,
who is that? It's not Mike Vrabel. Ooh, who
I'm
is
not sure
it?
who the head.
Hold on, dog. Who is the head coach? That's a great question because I thought Brian Callahan.
Brian
Uh,
Callahan, yeah.
yeah,
Respect coach. It's gonna be the growing pains. He's a rookie year, so he's basically for me, like you said, there's not much to really say about the Titans.
yeah,
I like L'Jarius Sneed because L'Jarius Sneed is good. Jeffrey Simmons is good. Calvin Ridley's good if he can
yeah,
stay on the field.
yeah.
Uh, but
I
he's a
agree.
rookie. It's not this year.
The thing, no, I agree that they still have a lot to do because that offensive line is really bad. And also with Calvin Ridley, he is talented, but one thing that rookie wide receivers need is they need someone who is like a reliable receiver. So like Adam Thielen for Bryce Young the last couple of years has been that safety valve, and he was actually really good. So sometimes I think just to kind of ease those growing pains, like you just need someone that like if I drop back to throw, I know this guy's gonna be open. And Calvin Ridley, I don't know if he's that guy. He's more of like a speed receiver going downfield, and like you put him behind Cam Ward behind a shaky offensive line, the running game isn't really consistent. Tony Pollard still has questions on if he can be like a lead back. Tyjae Spears is more of a receiving back. So I don't know if it's going to be a situation to where they can set up the run to get like one-on-ones to let Calvin really use his speed. So I just think that it's going to be kind of tough for Cam Ward to really like get the ball to these guys. Assuming unless this offense does like a 180, you know, but I could see this offense really struggling because even with Tyler Lockett, like he's not a possession receiver. So like you're putting a rookie quarterback behind a bad offensive line, not a good running game, and you're giving him to kind of smaller receivers. Tyler Lockett is like 5'10. Calvin really 6'1, but he's kind of slight. You know, so these aren't guys that are necessarily going to be going over the middle consistently that can give him easy receptions. I could be very wrong, but I think that it's going to be some growing pains. I could see them probably
Yeah,
winning less than 5 games.
I mean, no, I wouldn't put it past. I mean, it's just hard to get open in the NFL. It's hard to be consistent when
Yep.
drives. And I mean, when you're a rookie in a situation like for him, you just got to be extremely accurate. You got to really take the simple things. And
Yep.
I don't know how patient he's going to be. I think that's something that like we both said, he just got to take time. He's going to have to see throughout the season. He could probably
Yeah.
play better throughout the year, towards the end of the year. But
Mm-hmm.
I think when you look at all four of these teams, somebody has to be in fourth place. Somebody has to be the worst team in this division. They're not all four of them aren't good. Someone has to be the worst one of the four. When you look at all four of them, with the rookie quarterback, either he's going to be great immediately off the back and they're going to be pushing to win a division, or he's going to have what most rookies do, have a couple good games, show some flashes, likely turn the ball over
Yeah.
and end the season in a losing down year.
Okay. Well, listen, I know we went through all the teams. How would you rank them? You can go from 1 to 4. You can go from 4 to 1. However you want to do it.
Okay, so for me this year, I look at the teams really simple. Without really looking too hard into their schedule, because this is the AFC South. This is not, they're not looking to the schedule teams worthy, although they look at their schedules and, they're all facing basically the same teams. And it's going to be tough for all of them. The schedule's not really easy for anyone. So fourth place for me, I think it's going to be Titans because they just have a lot to kind of go with. Um, so Titans for me is the worst team in this division. I think going to this year, like finishing this year, I think the third place team is going to be the Jaguars.
Okay.
I think it's kind of the same situation. They need a few more pieces. Trevor Lawrence is just the reality. He's not that good. All right, he's not going to elevate this team like that. So, um, and the coach too is a bonehead. With the Duval thing, he's a bonehead. I mean, come on, don't convince me that I got to see him be a good coach before I'm convinced that before I just say he's a good coach. But he does a press conference like that. My Nick Sirianni did the same thing. But I can't even see Nick Sirianni doing some super shit like that. Duval, and come on. So their third place team, second place team for me would be, and it's just kind of a little tough, but I do think the Colts are going to be a second place team. I think they have a chance to push it, but I just don't think that Dave Jones is good enough to actually get them to the playoffs, and
Mhm.
he's not that good. So yeah, I think the Texans. I don't think Texas is going to be as good as they were last year or the year
Mhm.
before, even though I think the defense is going to be better.
Mhm.
But like you said, by default, Texans 9 games tops,
I mean, they won 10
9 wins.
last season. They went 10-7 last season. So
Yeah,
9, that's I can I can see that. And if CJ
nine
Stroud
and eight.
takes a step back, I could even see 8, you know. But for me, I'm gonna go fourth. I agree about Tennessee. I just think I like their defense, but I don't know if it's like they have a good secondary, but I just don't know if they have the type of defense that can just like win ugly and keep them in games. And Cam Ward, I mean, he was the number one pick, but I just also I don't know like if he's Jaden Daniels level, if he's you know
Uh,
what I'm saying? I just don't know if he's like quite that.
doubt it.
Yeah, me too. But and I just don't like the way that they've structured the team so far. So I just think they're going to be the worst team. Might be like have a top 5 pick next year. Third, I'm going to go the Colts just because Daniel Jones. I just don't trust him, and I just think that I mean, just really Daniel Jones. You know, And even with, him having Malik Neighbors last year, like he just wasn't effective. So you give him a better running back, but like a worse receiving core. Well, you don't have a Malik Neighbors, but I think that he can be. I don't think he'll be terrible, but I don't think he'll be good enough to get them to like the second place. Um, Second, I'm gonna go the Jaguars. I think that the offense, like Liam Cohen with the Bucks, like they had a really good offense, really potent offense. Just knew how to use. Granted, I think they had like a better offense. To be fair, like because we'll get to it, but Tampa's kind of stacked actually offensively. Um,
Offensively.
Say what?
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
You know,
Offensively,
yeah.
yes.
Oh no, no, offensively,
Offensively,
defensively,
yeah,
that defense is every defense in the AFC South could be can give up 30. But yeah,
yeah.
Jacksonville. I mean, with Trevor Lawrence, I think that he is decent. If he were better, then I think they could win the division. But he's decent. He's just not that guy. And then Houston, I could see them probably going 9-8, 10-7, something like that. I like their defense. Um, Nick Chubb, I don't think he has enough in the tank. I think that they have a rookie, Woody Marks, is who I think will, or even Damian Pierce. He's still on the team. If Joe
Yeah, yeah.
misses time. But I mean, honestly, CJ Stroud, unless he just becomes trash, like him and Nico Collins, like Dalton Schultz, that's a Titan I couldn't think of before. Like that should be enough to win this division, with a good defense. So that's who I'm gonna go with. So I think we kind of, and even the last thing I'll say with the Colts and the Jaguars, I could see that being a thing to where like it comes down to the end of the year and every team or three of the four teams are like one game apart. Like they're 7, 8, 9, have wins and they're kind of like week 17, 18 kind of decides the season. So that's that. So we can switch over to the NFC South. Um, so just shifting gears, which a lot of people have considered possibly, excuse me, the if not the worst division in football, then maybe the second worst. So what are your general thoughts about the NFC South right now?
The worst division in football,
The
or the
last,
second worst?
I mean, if you look
I
at the
would,
last couple of years since Tom Brady retired, I mean, who would you say?
yeah, I would think the AFC South.
No, no, no. I'm my bad. I was saying that like if the NFC South isn't the worst division, they're probably the second worst division in football.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe, yeah, well, yeah. I guess yeah. These are probably the two worst divisions right
Yeah.
now. Um, I guess general thoughts is that it's. I mean, this has been the Bucks division the last few years. They've been going back to Tom Brady. Um, they've been able to win because of the lack of talent and I guess coaching from all the other teams and personnel. They're in the same scenario. I mean, Panthers got a young quarterback that everyone's kind of written off. Um, the Saints have a big question mark. I mean, there was a lot of talk about him last year going into the draft as a rookie. But then he never got the opportunity to start. But then somehow, like it was to me, I still look at this as a phantom injury retirement from David Carr.
Derek Carr?
Uh, yeah, not David Carr.
Derek
Derek
Carr.
Carr. Because there was talks about him being traded possibly, and then there was talks about him losing the starting job last year to Spencer Rattler, and then all of a sudden he's gone, he's retired. And look, I can get why he wouldn't want to play anymore, but I think that there was a lot of buzz about Spencer Rattler for whatever reason, and so I guess we'll find out this year. Um, so we don't know. I do know that the Saints have, much like the Colts, pretty good roster.
Mhm.
Um, and then the Bucks said, like I said, they won the division, and then you have the Falcons, which is another big question mark. A lot of young quarterbacks, except for Baker, question marks.
Okay, so with Tampa Bay, what's the biggest question mark?
Oh well, First of all, let me say that I don't want to I want to make sure that people, because I know people probably don't think that I'm like a little biased towards the Bucks. I have no problem with the Bucks as an Eagles fan.
Why don't you have
Uh,
problems with them?
well, because people keep people in the world of Philadelphia Eagles, they like to say that the Bucks are like the Eagles kryptonite because we've lost to the Bucks, last few times.
Okay.
Obviously, we lost to them last year. We lost them the year before that, and we lost them the year before that. So people think that I'm just a hater of the Bucks. I just don't think the Bucks are that good. The defense is not good this year. Look, the best player on defense is a 14-year, 15, 20-year veteran who's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you got the
and then
one
on
defense too. What's Buddy's name? He been anchoring the defense. I guess he can't be that good to remember his name.
oh, Vita Villa,
Yes, yeah, yeah. He's solid. And
he's good too. I forgot. Yeah, he's good too.
he
But
got
he's
called.
he's also like
No, he's not.
what
What's
year 12.
Yeah, he's up there. But D tackles can play a while. They
He's a
got
good run stopper. He ain't getting no sacks no time soon.
no. That's no, they're definitely not. But I'm sorry. Go finish your thought though. My bad.
I keep drinking this Kool-Aid by accident. Um, they don't have anyone on defense that is going to make a difference. And so basically what they're saying is that based on what the Bucks have done the last few years, we believe that Baker Mayfield is now like that. And so we're going to become an offensive team. We're going to have three receivers. We're going to have Mike Evans, who's in his 15th year, 20 years. We're going to have Chris Godwin, who's can't stay healthy, but he's going to be in his fifth, 20 year. And then we're going to draft a receiver who's supposed to replace Mike Evans, same stature, same build, same everything. So you got two of the same kind of receivers. Still no tight end, and you have a really good running back and a really good right tackle who should be a left tackle because you know, he's guarding the side that Baker doesn't really he already sees from. All right, so you got an all pro that's guarding the side that he already sees from. He doesn't need him. He can't see from his left side, and besides the right tackle, he's not that good. And again, they lost the offensive coordinator. So now you're talking about a new offensive coordinator. I know Todd Bowles is a great coach. He's great at causing at dialing up blitzes,
Mm-hmm.
but you still need personnel. So I see the Bucks as a team that I think rent's due for the Bucks this year. I think that this dominance in the NFC South is not just over, but I think it's going to be over for a while now. Like I think because they're the only team in the division that doesn't have a future quarterback right now. Um,
Ooh, you think Baker? You don't think that he's found his place?
well, I'm not saying I don't think he's found his place. I think that Baker Mayfield is just up in age at this point compared to the other quarterbacks. Like I don't think that he's so much better than the other three quarterbacks that he's just going to dominate this division this
True,
year and the next couple of years.
true. That's true.
Um, I think he's the best quarterback in the division right now. But
Yeah.
again, he's about to have a lot on his plate. And yes, they may be able to mix it in with the run with Bucky Irvin and Ricard White, whatever his name is. But their defense to me is going to be such a liability that they're going to be relying on that offense to score. And I don't think that the offense is that great to just score points just because they got Mike Evans.
It really just comes down to Baker Mayfield. So he did throw, I think, like 41 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
He had a decent amount of turnovers, but he threw a lot of touchdowns. Now, granted, the NFC South has some really bad defenses, Tampa included, but it just really comes down to if we think that was an anomaly by Baker or if he can continue to do that. I think though Tampa does have a good offense, and they do have a good tight end, Kate Otten. He's not elite, but when you already have that many wide receivers, I think you can get by with just having someone who's just kind of serviceable. I was a little surprised that they went wide receiver in the first round and not defense, um, because they also have Jalen McMillian, who kind of came on towards the end of the year, and it's kind of what you said. Like, do you just want to keep getting into shootouts? And especially in a division that already has bad defenses, like if you get a good defense, you're going to stand out. So it's like, I do think Emeka Egbuka, if I'm pronouncing this name correctly, they do speak pretty highly of him, but it just feels like their receiver core was already a strength. And you just kind of like now it's like, okay, like Chris Godwin is supposed to play this season, but he might miss the beginning. But let's say if Chris Godwin comes back, um, so you have Mike Evans, Egbuka, Godwin, McMillian, or McMillan. Like I'm just wondering, like how many targets like Egbuka will even get with Chris Godwin, especially if he gets back to 100%. And Bucky Irvin and Rashad White are both receiving backs, so it's like,
And Trey Palmer also had a good year. And he's really fast. And I'm glad you mentioned that real quick. I just wanted to correct myself. I was thinking of the Panthers receiver, not Emeka
oh,
Egbuka,
okay,
because
okay. I'm talking about,
he's not built the same as Mike Evans.
yeah.
He's a really good he's more like Chris Olave
Mm-hmm.
than Mike Evans. I thought that they drafted the same type of receiver. No,
Oh,
he's
no, no,
different.
touch a
Yeah,
roll.
no,
He's
no.
6'4",
Yeah, I was thinking of the Panthers guy. The guy from the Panthers is
Yeah,
built like Mike Evans.
yeah. But
Yeah.
we'll see. So I mean, I guess so. And also Tampa, they did lose their offensive coordinator. So I don't know how.
Yeah. He went to the he's a Jacks coach now. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how much of an effect that has. I mean, okay, well, since you mentioned the Panthers, then we'll just go. We'll segue into them. How do you feel about Tetaroa?
About who?
That's his name, Tetaroa McMillan, the receiver.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, from Arizona.
Yeah,
It's weird because, I I I, I don't think he's going to be good this year. And I'm being honest because I don't know how good he is overall. And I think that's the question mark. I don't know how good he is overall. I know he's 6'4", he's 213. He went to Arizona. It's not really a school that you would think about receivers.
mhm,
But, you know, when teams do draft like this, or not, sorry, not when teams do it, but when players get drafted from schools like this, that means that they are good
mhm.
because they don't just get drafted out of schools that are not looked at as those type of football colleges to get drafted high like this, especially for a guy who's 6'4", 213. Usually those guys are just they're not really fast, and they're more like possession receivers, which he is, but he's shown he's pretty athletic too. Like he's a pretty damn good receiver. It's the reason why he was picked in the first round. But we talked about a little bit before, Adam Thielen, year 12. Last year they drafted Xavier Legette, country boy of the horses. He's been more of a meme than actual production on the field.
This is true.
Um, and now he's dating a rapper or something like that, like rapper chick, obviously. I forgot, or something like that. So he's famous for a bunch of reasons other than football. All right, and when I've seen him, I personally saw him, with my own two eyes against the Eagles last year, and he got his ass rocked by CJ Gardner Johnson. And he also just been dropping catches throughout the year. So I don't know how
Yeah.
focused he is. So when you have those that your three main guys and you don't have a tight end because you still got Tommy Tremble, which I don't know why, um, uh, it's hard for me to assume that he's going to be like Malik Neighbors, where you ain't got nothing around you, but he's just so nice that it's like, all right, they good. Now he's got to build around him. But you know, Adam Thielen is going to be great in the locker rooms and in the meetings, receiver meetings, but on the field, they already talked about trading Adam Thielen, as a matter of fact. So I
Yeah,
don't
he
even know
might
how
get
long he's even going
traded.
to be there.
He might got traded
Um,
while we've been talking, honestly.
yeah, and then I know they got Jalen Coker and Hunter Renfro. Uh, so and they also they got Jimmy Horn. He has an opportunity. Honestly, now I'm thinking about it. That he has an opportunity to be a part of a really good upcoming young receiving core once they get rid of Adam Thielen, once
Mhm.
if Leggett can get himself together, if Coker could be good, if Horn could be good, and if Hunter Renfro could be a good slot man, veteran presence. I think that he can. I think you know what I'm changing my tune. I think they could be good because I do believe one thing I do believe about the Panthers is that Bryce Young is going to be good this year.
Mhm.
No matter who's out there. I think he has figured it out going into like based on the way the season ended last year. And I know that they won their last couple games and he played well. I don't really look too much into that because I know teams don't play as hard as they do towards the end of the year. But um I think that he really kind of got it. And I now he's in his second year. I think he's going to take a jump because I
Mhm.
think that his ceiling is higher than C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson, and I don't think that out of those three, C.J. Stroud is going to be the better quarterback. I think so. I think yeah. I like what I like McMillan this year.
We'll see.
I
I
like
guess
McMillan this year.
my issue with McMillan is that he was kind of boom or bust in college, which is a little bit that worries me that he wasn't consistently great. Like his numbers were kind of inflated by some huge gains, but there were also times to where he would disappear. But also, Mike Evans can do that too sometimes. So it could just be the nature of that type of wide receiver that like if you're 6'4", 6'5", and like you're gonna get a lot of 50-50 balls, like sometimes it's like almost like are you open, are you not open? It's kind of hard to make heads or tails of it. So when it's like you don't want to just like force those throws game after game, because even Mike Evans, like as consistent as he is in his career, like there will be games to where he'll get you, like 3 catches for 40 yards, which that's receivers, and then he'll just explode for like 8 for 138. But my issue with McMillan is if he can consistently get space, and if Bryce Young is he going to be willing to make those throws, those kind of 50-50 balls? But you spoke about the receiving core. The receipt Panthers do have an interesting receiving core, and a lot of them do complement one another well. And honestly, even if McMillan and Xavier Leggett, Leggett, even if they don't pan out, Jalen Coker is actually pretty solid. And he's actually was better than XL last season. And like Hunter Renfro in the slot he's a really good slot. And then also Jimmy Horn Jr., that's someone else. I don't know how much he'll play, but he's a very fast guy, and he can give the Panthers that downfield threat that they really haven't had. I think Bryce Young will be better. It just remains to be seen which receiver is going to be that guy. Like they want Tetaroa, but one thing about Malik Neighbors is that during the preseason, people were saying like, yeah, this guy is nice. Brian Thomas Jr., people were saying this guy is nice. Like even with Jamar Chase, when he was having like the drops in preseason, they were like, give him some time. I don't hear those same things with Tetaroa. Like people aren't just saying that, like, yeah, he's gonna be that guy. Like I feel like there's question marks. So I'm a little bit, and there's always question marks. But I'm a little nervous, man. I'm a little nervous, and also I'm speaking as a fan who has gotten his hopes up with the Panthers before, and I've been burned before. So I'm very jaded.
Well, he doesn't seem. But I don't. I mean, I don't really know his tape in college, but he don't seem like a flashy guy. So those are the guys that are like athletic. They're kind of you know when they got the ball in their hands, they're quick and they're shifty. He's not really that kind of guy, I don't think. I don't
No,
know. I haven't even seen him preseason so far, so I have no idea what he's done. And again, I'm not taking too much in the preseason because I just know like it's just every team is working on different things. It's just it doesn't really matter until the game starts. I know that when the game starts, Panthers um, Panthers first game is
we played Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. That's right. Hold on, let me get this open up. So yeah, they got Jacksonville, Arizona, Falcons, Patriots, Dolphins, Cowboys, Jets, Bills, Packers. Damn, they got a long schedule. Their bye week is not till week 14. Jeez, oh my goodness. All right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
have some issues this
crazy,
year.
bro. Like,
Yeah, you're gonna have some problems this year.
well, the season,
That don't make sense.
the first couple of games isn't too bad, but a bye week in 14. I mean, shit. By the time you have the bye week, you might, season might be over.
And
Like
you're facing a lot of good secondaries. I mean, the Patriots have a good secondary.
Miami
Cow
does.
no, Miami. You said Miami does?
It was good last year.
No, they're not good. They got three slot corners. I can't give my I gotta see it to believe it because I have not seen any of those guys play in the outside. I gotta see it. But they face the Jets, they face the Packers, they face no, okay, you know what? No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's
But
not
it's
that
just
bad. It wasn't
it's not
until you
that
got
bad.
to the Bills and you got to the Packers. That's when it gets kind of ugly.
It's an interesting schedule to have a bye week that late.
Yeah.
Um I think that the Panthers are more like on the rise up. I think that when you have like the last couple of years that they've had, you, this is expected to have. this type of turmoil and this type of omen. It's gonna get better, but I still think that they probably like another year away, or maybe
Yeah, that's
two.
probably true because also that defense is atrocious. Like it's terrible. Like the run defense, uh, the secondary. I mean, even with the J.C. Horn, that's still a bad defense. So when you take him out, I mean, we really just have no hope. No pass rusher. Just really, there's nothing that we can really hang our hat on anymore defensively.
Yeah, no, yeah, no front seven. Yeah, y'all don't even
Yeah.
have a Sam linebacker.
Well, the
Like
defense is
y'all technically don't have a Sam linebacker. You got a Will, you got a Mike, you got no Sam. You don't have a pass rusher.
no pass rusher. I mean,
The offensive line is not that bad, but you don't have a tight end, and the receivers are all young and not unproven except for Thielen. But
the receivers. Go
you
ahead.
got three, huh? I said you got three good running backs. I mean, three decent running backs. You got
Yeah.
Chuba, Rico, Jonathan Brooks. You even got Trevor Etienne, the son. Who knows? He might end up being the best out of all of them.
Yeah.
Offensive line isn't bad, so
No, offensive line is good. The thing I was gonna say with the receivers are gonna need a great scheme. They have guys that complement one another well, but they're gonna need plays that complement like their physical attributes, and they're gonna have to be kind of schemed open. But no, the offensive line is good. It was actually like had improved a lot. Like Chuba, is a solid running back, but he had a really good season for the Panthers last year.
good team. I mean, it's not a bad team. We just got to get two more pieces. You know, AFC and NFC South. They're really in the same boat for whatever reason. Only difference with the NFC is that it's a little bit more wide open. It's not quarterback heavy. Um,
Mhm.
you know, as far as greatness goes, the guys who produce the most when it matters. So there's still a chance. There's a hope that Bryce Young could be that guy. Um, Spencer Rattler could be that guy, and maybe even Michael Penix.
Well, speaking of, we could segue to the Falcons with Michael Penix, bringing him up. But my question is actually about Kirk Cousins. What are they going to do with him?
Well, he'll get traded at some point. I mean, he's definitely getting traded at some point. We just don't know when or where.
Mhm.
But I also think that it kind of depends on what Kirk Cousins kind of wants. Like one thing we definitely can't take for granted, especially with Michael Penix, is an injury. I mean, there's a reason why. I mean, I know they picked him high, but there was a reason why he was thought to have fallen the day and during draft is because he was coming off an injury. I think it was season-ending injury. And he's been injured a lot throughout his college and high school career. So that's been one of his reasons for, again, it's his stunted growth.
Mhm.
So Kirk Cousins can look at it two different ways. He can chill in Atlanta because he's in Atlanta. All
Mhm.
right, he got his money. He's the ultimate bag getter in NFL history. He didn't got a bag for a bag. I didn't
Yep.
watch quarterbacks on Netflix, but obviously he was on it, and people got a chance to get got a better understanding of his type of personality. Um, Great guy. He has a fan base and everything.
What the reason why I ask about Kirk though, he's on a 4-year, $180 million contract. That's a lot of money to be paying
Yeah,
back up.
yeah.
A lot of
But he's
money.
not gonna start. He's not starting in Atlanta though. Like he's not playing in Atlanta.
Well, but
But
where's he gonna go though? You think like a team that gets because even this is the thing though, if he had an affordable contract, and let's say I'm the Cardinals and Kyler Murray gets injured, and I'm in the hunt for winning the division. If he had a friendly contract, then yeah, trade for Kirk Cousins. But do you really want to trade Kirk Cousins? Because this is only year two of a
I don't.
$180 million contract.
I think that I said earlier, like I think that they probably will end up trading him. But I was also trying to say like it also kind of depends on what Kirk Cousins wants because you can keep him on the team this year.
Uh-huh.
Michael Penix is not guaranteed to play 17 games. At some point, it's more likely that if Kirk Cousins stays on the Falcons this year, he's going to play at some point. He's going to start at some point, whether it be for a couple series. And even think about this. He can, let's say it's week 4, week 5, week 6, let's just say week 6. They're 2-3. All right. They're already losing. And now Michael Penix Jr. gets hurt. Kirk Cousins comes back in the game. They come back and win the game. Now they're 3-3. What do you think is going to happen after this? It's going to be a big question whether or not Kirk Cousins should be playing now.
No, you
And
gonna go
he
on
and if
Michael
he,
Penix.
but if he keeps getting hurt, all I'm saying is that the scenario that Kirk Cousins can just come in and then finish the season is completely on the table.
You
And
think
when you
so?
pay him that much, yeah, absolutely,
No,
because
but after
I
seeing what
don't
happened
trust him
last
staying
year.
healthy. Huh?
Okay, so because of an injury, not because like you think he's just like that
Yeah,
good.
because of injury. Yeah, and then because of
Oh,
injury. I mean, the jury's still out on whether or not how good he is.
that's
All
true
I know
too.
is he had an opportunity at the end of the season. He played well in a winner take all against the Commanders. It's just that the football guys wanted the Commanders to make the playoffs, and so even in Atlanta, the Commanders won a very close game. But he played pretty well for a guy who was kind of just kind of put in that scenario. The team this year is not that good to me. Both sides of the ball, they got really one real threat on offense. Good offensive line, but it's almost like Saquon a little bit, where what the defense is going to do. Defense every week is going to be doing everything to stop Bijan, and it's going to put it on Michael Penix.
You don't like Drake London?
What's the word before like? Like you love somebody, you like somebody, and then what's before like before you don't like somebody? What's like in between the don't like and you like somebody? What's in between that?
Maybe neutral, like you don't like you're
I'm
neutral.
indifferent. I'm
You're
indifferent.
indifferent? Oh wow. Oh
I'm
wow.
indifferent. I'm indifferent about Drake
Wow.
London.
See, that's funny because this is the thing though. Drake, and we talked about this before off. Drake London is one of those guys that I think that because he looks the part, like in between being like a tall, big receiver, went to USC, that he's someone that like you think he just looks like he could be a star, but I don't love him either. I definitely don't love him. I would say I'm a little bit above indifferent, but I wouldn't say I like him. Like he did come on late toward the end of the year and had some big games, but he was playing some terrible defenses, and Michael Penix was kind of forcing him the ball. So like I'm a little bit above indifferent, but I'm not gonna go as far to say I like him. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you.
I would rather have Michael Pittman Jr. than both 6'4". Um, Michael Pittman is 10 pounds heavier. Um, and he seems a little bit more aggressive towards the ball than Drake London. And again, look, I'm first of all, I'm lefty,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm always going to represent left-handed quarterbacks. I got much love for them, and hope that they do well because if I was in the NFL, I'll be a left-handed quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's another question mark. And when you don't have a defense, let me look at the defense real quick. When you don't have a defense that you can rely on, I know they had 2 picks in the first round. They drafted 2 rookies.
Yeah,
They drafted Jalen Walker from Georgia, and they drafted
I think another edge.
James Pierce. Yeah, they drafted 2 edge rushers, left and right. So they one from Tennessee and then one from Georgia. I don't know how good they're going to be. I know that in Madden, James Pierce from Tennessee has a 90 speed, and I
Yeah.
know that Jalen Walker has an 86. So I know they're both fast guys off the edge. Um, but they lost Grady Jarrett in the offseason. Um, their linebackers are athletic but unproven, and they still don't have a secondary. They still only have AJ Terrell. How good is he really?
They're Jesse Bates the third.
In Jesse Bates, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Jesse
that
Bates.
defense is like it's weird because like they have good players, but the defense is just not good. Like on
Yeah.
paper, money they spent a lot of money on that defense, but they just I mean they don't get up. Atlanta has really never had a pass rush. Like even back to like Matt Ryan, just for some reason, like no matter who they put back there, like even during the Super Bowl, that defense wasn't that great. They just really can't get pressure. And like they always have like athletic linebackers, but like they just don't make plays. It's very weird. Like they just never a good defense. And I can say this as someone who like watches a lot of their games, being a Panthers fan. The defense is just never formidable. And maybe this is the year, with Pierce and Jalen Walker,
Two
maybe,
rookies, yeah.
maybe they could turn it
One of
around.
them got a pop. I mean, that was something. You have two picks in the first round. You take two edge rushers on each side, and neither one of them are good. One
I
of
mean,
them got a pop.
yeah, one should, you would think. But even then, with that, it's like you really do need a complete defense because even if you have one like pass rusher, you can slide, you can chip, you can double. There are things you can do to kind of like alleviate that. So you need like a full team. So even if one guy pops, this still might not be a good defense. That's just still like you mentioned two guys, and then let's say one of those guys, let's say both of them pop. That's still only four guys. You still got seven other guys that need to play and do their job. So but going back to the Falcons offensively, I think that I don't love Drake London. Darnell Mooney was solid for them.
Yeah,
He
yeah. I mean, he's gone though.
Oh, he's not there no more?
No, no, Donald Moody's gone. He went somewhere else. I forgot where
Oh,
he went, but yes. Oh no, wait, actually, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, he is on the team. I'm sorry, he is on the team. Yeah,
I think they is it Zacchaeus who left?
yeah. Zacchaeus left. It's it's
Yeah.
it's it's Drake London, Daryl Mooney, and Ray McLeod, and then
Okay.
they added Jamal Agnew.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I listen, offensively, if Michael Penix can just be decent, they should have enough to like with Bijan Robinson. But Bijan Robinson, excuse me, that should be enough to have a good offense. I could see them kind of having like a similar season that they had last year. So going back, so I guess now just rounding out the NFC South, the Saints. The Saints.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the quarterback situation? I mean, who do you think is going to be the guy? You got Tyler Shaw and Spencer Rattler. Who do you think is going to be the guy?
Well, I think it's going to be Spencer Rattler. Uh, I mean, we're going to find out, but there was talk that Spencer Rattler reminded people of Patrick Mahomes when he was in college.
Uh,
So he dropped a little bit in his last year in college, and then throughout the draft process. I'm not sure exactly what all happened to where he fell in the draft, but initially people was looking at him as like that. This is the next big thing. So, like I said, the phantom injury retirement from Derek Carr put Spencer Rattler in the position now to be the quarterback.
mhm.
Um, Tyler Show, whatever his name is. This goes and I guess when we get to this division, we'll get to it. But this is a casualty of the Shador Sanders thing,
Yeah.
where they just drafted a quarterback because they didn't want to take Shador. So to me, this is not a real thing unless he ends up being a starter and he ends up being really good. But I don't see that being the case. Um, Spencer Rattler, it's a question mark. I have no idea. I know he played a couple times last year. He didn't look that bad. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Desmond Ritter, where
Ooh,
uh,
ooh.
is like
He's a
he has
horror.
the physical tools, but then like I don't really know how cerebral he is when it really comes down to the NFL. And when he has good receivers. He has four legitimate receivers to throw the ball to,
It's like you got
except
Olave.
except they're all 6 feet and under.
You got Olave.
Rashid Shaheed and Brandon Cooks.
Is it Brandon Cooks still? Oh yeah, they do have Brandon Cooks. Uh,
Exactly. And then they just traded for
I know he's out.
Devon Belly.
Yeah. Okay.
He's 6'4", he's 6'5",
Okay. So
210.
I like Jawan Johnson is not a bad tight end,
But he's not even a starter. Tyson Hill's a starter.
but he tore his ACL.
They don't even have Tyson. Oh, so yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
hell yeah. And then you got Alvin Kamara, but man, like, so that was my issue with Derek Carr. Like, they had too many checkdowns. Like, at some point, you got to push the ball down the field. Like, if you're just chucking it to your running back, 8 times a game, that's actually really not good offense unless you're putting him in space and letting him make plays at yards after the catch. But just checking down on the running back is kind of bad offense. Like we don't call plays with the with the intent of like we're going to check it down to the running back. That's not really what you want to do. So that was my issue with Derek Carr. But if you got like Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shaw, that might happen again. But something you mentioned with Spencer Rattler, there was some. I think they were playing Tampa, and he was up and down, but he was missing wide open guys. Like there was guys who were wide open. He just did not see them. And I think that he just, like you say, he's not cerebral. I don't think that he has good vision. And I think that he's just too quick to tuck and run. But he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not even Justin Fields, you know? And I feel like even with Justin Fields, who is a great athlete, he gets in trouble for like not going through his progressions and tucking and running too much. And I think Spencer Rattler had like a lot of turnovers, a lot of like straight up touchdowns he left on the field because he just wasn't really being a quarterback. Like he wanted to be an athlete, not a quarterback. So you got a team that is already kind of shaky. You like the receivers. Olave is good, but he also has a lot of concussions. Shaheed is more of just like a deep threat. Brandon Cooks, I mean,
Concussions.
I don't know how much like this stage of his career, what he can do. The guy they traded for, I mean, is he good like that? I mean,
No, he's not. He's 6'5", so he's probably the second tallest receiver in the league right now, other than
yeah.
Johnny Wilson, who just tore his ACL, so he's out for the season. So, you know, I mean, they got a new coach, Kellen Moore. I do have faith that he's gonna be a good play caller because I watched him be a good play caller with Dallas. When you talk before the season last year, I said that I like the Kellen Moore as the offense coordinator because I watched him hook the Eagles every time we played them with annoying play calling. Honestly, I was annoyed of how balanced the Eagles would play against the Cowboys with him just because of they had a good offensive line. They had Zeke, they had a one receiver, and Dak playing mistake free.
Mhm.
So I trust Kellen Moore to make good decisions on the offensive side of the ball. It's just going to be a matter of can he get the most out of Spencer Rattler. If he can, they can win the division. If not, they're going to be in the middle of the pack looking for a quarterback next year.
Yeah, I think that, and like you mentioned, Shador. Um, I was just convinced that either Pittsburgh or definitely New Orleans would have taken him. Um, so it really is just like a well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they saw something I didn't see, but also something else though. That defense is bad. So like the offense, I don't think is good enough to get into shootouts, but I think the defense is gonna put them into shootouts. Because they just don't. They still have Cameron Jordan, and they still are asking him to be a high level player, and he just really can't do that. They no longer have Teron Matthew, traded Marshawn Lattimore. There's not much on Chase Young.
No, he's gone.
Yeah, he who signed him?
Chase Young.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Did he sign somewhere?
I thought he re-signed with them because I was kind of surprised. Like,
Um, I'm looking
Young,
at I'm looking at their roster right now. If you could
we
find
don't-
where he went to. Oh wait, you know what? He is still on the team. Oh my
yeah,
bad. I'm
but like
tripping. I am tripping.
he was okay. Like he's very okay.
Bus. You can say it.
Yeah, like depending on your definition of a bust,
He's
I
a
would consider
bus.
him a bust. He was taken second
Chase Young.
overall.
Yeah, he was supposed to be sack master, man.
Yeah, and
He he, he wasn't about that life.
he used to talk so much shit on Washington. Like I remember games like it would be like the they on offense and he on the sideline done damn near how to come on the field. I'm like, what are you doing? So for him to not even be that guy, like if he's not a bust, he's a big disappointment.
No, he's a bust because he's on his third team now. He was with the 49ers. They wasn't the Super Bowl, but it wasn't because of him. He was a rotational
Yeah.
guy. They traded for him thinking that he would be on the other side of Bosa and it would help out, and he didn't. Um, in a lot of ways, you could blame his ass for the lack of defense the Chiefs had. Because if he was the guy he was supposed to be, they probably would have won the Super Bowl with him and Nick Bosa on each side. But he's just not that good, and I don't think he just has a high motor. I don't think he's dedicated to the sport the way we probably thought. He's just really athletic and talented, and like we all know, they can only take you so
He
far.
like when I watch him, he gets out of position a lot. Like they were, especially with the Commanders, something he had an issue with is that he would forget that you got to stop the run too. It's like he thought that it was 7-on-7 and you just going after the quarterback. And there was so many games I'll watch him like he just would just run up the field and teams are just running all over them because like the Saints run defense is horrible. The Panthers had the worst in the league, but the Saints were second worst. And he's just not a good run stopper, and especially in the NFC, and especially in the NFC South, we have three teams that are going to want to run the ball. Like I can see the Saints kind of getting picked on that side at that, and also he's not good enough of a pass rusher to like make up for it. He's just not a complete player. Like he probably should be like a rotational player, and even then, I don't know if he's that great at that. But he's maybe in like a dime situation, he could come in like third and very long. Okay, so then we at the end then. All right, how would you rank them?
So I would say that just being fair again, just we started. I'm glad we started with the two worst divisions because it's a lot easier to make these picks. But also at the same time, we also are assuming everyone's going to be healthy. We know injuries happen. We know things happen throughout the season. Sometimes I like to put in some of those predictions throughout my process of picking these teams. So with that being said, I'm gonna go with my fourth place team this year in the NFC South. Um, um, who was it? Uh, why can I forget the um,
Saints,
Saints? No. The Saints, Bucks,
Falcons, Panthers.
Panthers, and Falcons. Okay, yeah. Um, I'm gonna go with the Saints
Okay,
in fourth because of the quarterback situation. Kellen Moore is blessed. All right. Truth of the matter is, he got this head coaching job because he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, but he's not a head coach. Being a great play caller does not mean you're a great head coach.
that's true.
When you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't help. And
That's
there's so many pieces to help. And Dennis Allen had been a defense coordinator for so long for that team. Then he was a head coach, and losing him, you're losing a lot from that defense. And I don't know how savvy Kellen Moore is at hiring defensive guys, or even if he had a hand in that. So fourth place team for me is the Saints. Talented team, but tough team. I think they're going to be a competitive team, but fourth place. Third place team for me um, is going to unfortunately going to be the Panthers. Again, I think that they're probably a year or two away because those receivers are really young, but they're really good. They don't have a defensive line. I mean, they don't have a defense really at all, other than J.C. Horn. But again, even when you have those type of guys, like you can easily manipulate them when they're the only guy to really focus on. You can either take them out the picture or you can abuse them. So when you have only one or two guys in secondary and everyone else is just not good enough to be consistent, especially on key downs, key moments in games, you need those type of guys in a depth. So I think the Panthers are probably the third best team, even with the offensive line being pretty good, the run game and young receivers and Bryce Young playing better. I think they need a better little. Well, they think a year away, and I also think they need a better coach. I think they need a new head coach. I don't know who's head coach.
you talking for the Panthers?
Yeah,
Dave Canellis. He was the offensive coordinator for Seattle.
yeah, they need a real head coach. A head coach. They need a real head
Oh, head
coach.
coach? He's not a real coach.
It remains to be seen.
I mean, that's
I
fair. That's fair.
It remains to be seen. But I think that in the next year or two, when they see that they are actually, the guys are developing, hopefully they're developing. If he's a good coach, he's going to help them develop. Then I would expect that, them to get a guy who could take them over the top because I don't know if he can. Again, we never seen it. And then between the Falcons and the Bucks, again, the Bucks has been dominating this division. Uh, for the last couple of years. I think it ends this year. I don't really feel this confident saying the Falcons going to win the division, but I do think a few things is going in their favor. One, I think they have a really good offensive line. I think that their running game is going to be good with Michael Penix at the quarterback position. Think that Kyle Pitts, I know you're not high on him. I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a breakout season. I think that he just needed a quarterback that wants to throw it to him. And at this point, when you are being called a bust, when you are actually good, but in my opinion, the scenarios and the situation just hasn't really worked out for you, and you kind of got this reputation of being uh, uh, a nonchalant player. Like you don't really give a shit. Like
That's nonchalant. Yeah.
if I'm open, I'm open. If we win, we win. When you're that kind of guy, that can make you better for a couple years, or at least 1 year to prove people wrong when you do have this talent. You're like, you know what, fuck this. You know what? I want this bag, whatever. I believe the Falcons are going to win this division. I believe the Bucks don't have the defense to compete, and I think that Michael Penix, at least for 1 year, can be good. And if he does go down, I do think that Kirk Cousins is a top five backup, and he could help them win the division in a weak division. So they have it.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I agree with you about the Saints. I just think that if you just look at their roster, I mean, outside of Alvin Kamara, it's they don't really have like a lot of great players. I think Chris Olave is a really good player, but I don't think that he can just overcome like the bad quarterbacking that's gonna be there. And I think the defense is gonna be awful. I just think on both sides, at least with the Panthers, Falcons, and Bucks, they at least have like an offense that could possibly be good. The Saints, I don't see any path forward that this is like a top 15 offense. Like I just don't see it. So I think the Saints are probably going to be going to have a top 5 pick next year, and I think that with Kellen Moore, um, I think that he can get the quarterback that he wants possibly. I don't know if Tyler Shaw was who he wanted or what, but I think that he could get blessed into having a better quarterback unless one of those guys becomes the guy. But so that remains to be seen. I don't think it's Spencer Rattler, but it could be Tyler Shaw. I agree with you. I think the Panthers
I
are
think
going
it's
to
gonna be Arch Manning.
probably,
They're
um,
gonna, they're gonna find a way to bring his ass back.
probably. I think that the Panthers are going to be third. Really, just the defense. I think the defense again is going to be really bad. I think offensively, like Chuba Hubbard is a good player, but he's not like Bijan, Saquon to where he can take games over, but I think he can be solid. The receiving core, again, is solid. I think they complement each other well, but I don't think that guys are just going to be flying open. And I think a lot of it is contingent on just really good play calling. Dave Canellis, I know you say he's not a real coach, but Russell Wilson had great seasons there. Some of his best seasons with him, he was like the passing game coordinator and like the quarterbacks coach. Geno Smith, his career had a resurgence there when he was quarterbacking. So Bryce Young, I mean, this could be the year that
Okay,
what I'm saying? So
okay.
I think that he could do that. That now that Bryce has the offensive line, the first round pick. I mean, listen, it remains to be seen how good Tetairoa McMillan is. But if you take a wide receiver top 10, you expect him to be a star. So like the pieces are there. He can actually call some plays and have a competent offense. I think the offense will be good, but I just don't think it's to make the playoffs with a bad defense. You have to have an elite offense, and the Panthers aren't that. Second, I'm flip flopping so much. I'm gonna say the Falcons are gonna be second, just because Michael Penix is such a we don't know how good he is. Um, and then the two first round picks, we don't know how good they're gonna be. So like if Michael Penix is good, and if at least one of those guys pan out, then I think they could win the division, but I can't confidently say it. With the Bucks, the defense is terrible, but also like their offense is more proven. It just like can Baker is he a one season wonder? Can he do that again? And also he was kind of turnover prone. So like he might throw a lot of turnover. He's probably gonna throw a lot of turnovers again, a lot of interceptions, but is he gonna throw 41 touchdowns again? I don't know. Can
I
Bucky?
don't think so.
I don't think he's going to do that. Actually, I would bet the under. Bucky Irving, now that like people have film on him, he's going to be the guy. Can he handle a full season's load? You know, we don't know. But I'm going to say I think it's going to be a thing to where both teams are going to be like 9-8 or 10-7, and it comes down to just who is the tiebreaker. You know, it's how I think that's going to come down. Did you have any other things that you wanted to say?
Pertaining to these two divisions,
Yeah.
um, the only thing I can uh um no, not really. These teams, these divisions stink. I mean, the look at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is neither division team is going to not even talk about the Super Bowl, a divisional round. All right. Neither one of these teams is going to divisional. I mean, any of these teams that wins the division and goes into the wild card, the teams this year have stacked up. All the teams in both conferences stacked up so much that it's so top heavy. The ones that these two conferences, two divisions, they're not going to be able be able to beat any of the teams that comes out of the NFC or AFC. Just looking at it with that right now, without really thinking too much about who's actually going to make the playoffs, but who's not going to win a division in the AFC. When you talk about the AFC South, whoever wins the division is going to have to either face either the Broncos, maybe uh the Ravens, maybe the Steelers or the Bengals. I don't see that team really being able to win those games. And in the NFC, whoever wins the division is going to have to face any of the teams in the NFC North, the Lions, the Vikings, maybe the Bears, maybe the Commanders or the Cowboys, maybe the 49ers or not Seahawks. I would say maybe they don't have a shot. These teams, none of these teams have a shot, but these are good building blocks for these teams in the future to know what they got to do based on how these seasons go to get better for the next couple of years.
I
I just
agree.
hope.
I agree with that. These teams are not teams of the now, but they could be teams of the future. Like Michael Penix, if he shows promise, like Drake London is only like 23.
Yeah.
BJ Robinson is like 23. Really good offensive line. You just had 2 first-round guys. So even if it's not this year, it could be next year for the Falcons. The Bucks, I mean, Mike Evans is getting a little older. Chris Godwin is injury prone, but they just took a guy in the first round, Bucky Irving. They have a solid offensive line, so they have pieces. Bucks
Nah, I don't know if I can agree with that.
with the offensive line, you don't think it's solid?
Solid is strong because one thing we know for now, at least right now in the NFL, is in the offensive line, you got to have you got Tristan Wirfs, all right? Oh, you know what? They did move him to left tackle. Sorry, I'm looking at it on the rosters right now. They did move him to left tackle, so he was on right tackle, but but their left guard, no. Their center, no. Their right guard, no. And their left tackle, they literally have one right tackle right now. According to the rosters, they have one right tackle, Luke Golddeek from Central Michigan, third year. And then they have two left tackles, so they only have three tackles in total on the 52-man roster right now. I know, they got to finish these rosters up, so basically they're going to have young guys filling in the offensive line if they decide to. Other than Tristan Wirfs, I feel, is he hurt? I don't
Who?
think he's hurt. Tristan Wirfs. I don't think he's hurt. I
I'm
don't
not
think he's
sure.
hurt. But no, I can't say the offensive line is that good. And there's a reason why Baker Mayfield has been turning the ball over. I think he led the league in interceptions last year.
I think he did. I think he had like 16, 17 interceptions. Um, I mean, some of that. I mean, some of that was a combination. Okay, to be fair, of the offensive line and him. Yeah, he had 16 interceptions.
Yeah,
He 4,500 yards. Yeah, actually, I mean, I'm looking at it. He's had some success, but I mean, that's fair. That's fair to say about the offensive line. I guess I'm just thinking, like, yo, when you actually think about it, there's not that many good offensive lines in the NFL. Like having a good offensive line unit is kind of tough. Like,
Yeah,
just
that's fair.
so I don't know, but you're right. You're right. So I guess I'm
Oh.
say what?
No, no, I was just thinking like I've just been spoiled as an Eagles fan. I've been spoiled. I don't really know like what it's like to not necessarily have a good offensive line. It's been such a long time.
It's
I
absolute
gotta
heck.
go. Yeah, I gotta go back to the year after Michael Vick was the runner-up for MVP.
Yeah.
The next 2 years, the NFL realized that, oh, you just keep blitzing him. You just keep blitzing, and that's the only time that I remember the Eagles' offensive line actually being bad in my entire life. Was that
Really?
that 2 3 year period? They every team just said, you know what, we're just gonna blitz the Eagles every all day and just keep hitting him, and they just kept
Dude,
doing it. Chip,
that second season, he was getting destroyed. Now, some
yeah,
of that was kind of on him holding onto the ball too long, but he was getting destroyed. Like I was like, yo, this man is like not gonna finish the season. I remember towards the end, I'm like, yeah, I don't know how he's holding on because he was taking some crazy hits.
and Chip Kelly's and his stupid offense and the tempo and all that stuff. He not only is he getting hit and blitz every play, but then he has to get up and try to snap the ball back as fast as possible. They were running the fastest offense in history, so it was all
Yeah.
bad. But that was the last time I actually seen the Eagles' offense line be bad. So it's weird, but it's true though. A lot of teams, it's hard to find offensive.
Bro, it's I would say I don't think there are 10 good offensive lines. Like I would say Philly, Atlanta,
Chicago.
Chicago now, but last year was bad.
Yeah, yeah. Chicago now. Right now they got Braxton Jones, Joe
Yeah.
Thuney, Drew Dalman, Jonah Jackson, and Darnell Wright. That's average. It's average, but it's decent.
I think it could
Uh,
be a threat next year for them. I would say like by the current standard, I think it can be better.
the Bills are not bad.
I would say
Uh,
who was I was just thinking Minnesota's
Broncos is actually not bad either.
Broncos have
Minnesota's is good.
yeah. The Jets on paper had a good offensive line, but it just everything just kind of fell apart. But they don't run.
Browns don't. Browns aren't bad either.
Now the Browns, no, they gave up like 66 sacks.
This year, Browns got they don't have a left tackle, but they still got Joel Bitonio at left
Mhm.
guard. He's been good for a while. Jake Conklin, the right tackle, and they got a right guard who's decent, but their center and their left
Yeah,
tackle is
their offensive line's
average.
pretty good, y'all. I would say I forgot about Detroit, even though they might take a step back this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Detroit,
Colts,
Colt, Baltimore.
Baltimore. You know what? I hate to say it, but I got to give the Commanders some credit here.
It's
Laramie
improved
Tunsil,
because it's
Laramie
improved.
Tunsil, Sam Cosmi, Andrew Wiley he's not that great, but he was with the Chiefs for a while, so he's a good right tackle. He's decent.
So okay, it's a
Tyler,
decent amount. Okay. But listen, that's everything that I had. Would definitely love to have you back on. Um, listen, if you have anything that you want to plug, a Twitter, IG, or if you want to stay incognito, that's cool too. But if you just want anything, a lasting message to give to the folks,
well, yeah, I want to say that I'm about to start my podcast, which I would be having you on also. Um, I don't have an official title, but I have been working on some names, and right now we're going with Throw the Tomatoes podcast. Throw the Tomatoes podcast. This is where, we throwing tomatoes at certain takes. We didn't do it today, but we throwing tomatoes like they do it at the Apollo and at the variety shows. When you're not good and you say something crazy, we throwing tomatoes. We're gonna try to do
well,
some
please have
animations and
listen. I've been chill today, but if there's one thing I can do, I can hate and I can throw tomatoes. I can do that.
we throwing tomatoes. And so I'm working on that right now. I got a podcast interview with some baseball players some former
Okay.
baseball players that I got coming out this year, well, this next month or two, and then also a little series of documentary interviews with people in Miami that's been making music and acting, modeling, but training. Um, so really busy right now trying to get all those projects together. So look out for that. And obviously, now that we're officially at the time of football season, I want to make one more statement because we are now officially 13 days away. Sorry, 13 days away. 13 days away from the Eagles defending their Super Bowl championship. And before anyone says anything, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that I am on board and I am standing with my team 10 toes down and I'm ready for the season. So I'm ready for the season to start. I'm ready to get it, ready to see what I'll, what's in store for this year. Hopefully positive stuff and good stuff. And no injuries. I don't want no injuries this year. I want the main guys on every team to stay healthy. I don't want no injuries ruining, guys' seasons and teams and people's hopes and dreams and stuff. This is the worst. So
Now, I definitely agree with you on that. I wish that is my hope that every sometimes you do have injuries to where it can open the door for another guy to become a star, but I do hate when like you're looking forward to the season and a key injury happens. But listen, bro. Thank you for coming in. I love, I'm gonna excuse me. I have another one of my homeboy that I'm gonna do for the NFC and the AFC North, but I would love to have y'all both together. So listen, thank you for coming on. This has been cool. So let's do it again. Thank y'all. This is the Crazy Scary Cool podcast. Please like, share, subscribe. My boy Josh. Thank you.